need to worry, you see.
No need to worry, you see.
All you gotta do is turn down the lights and sit around and talk. Just walking in the rain,
Just walking in the rain,
getting soaking wet.
getting soaking wet.
Thought you're in my heart,
Thought you're in my heart,
by trying to forget.
by trying to forget.
Just walking in the rain,
Just walking in the rain.
all alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Lonnie Lee.
I'm ready.
a ballad, so it's a bonus.
You ask me, did my love hurt? Can't you tell by the tears in my eyes? Can't you hear it in the way that my voice shakes? Can't you see it in my eyes? Can't you see it in my eyes? You ask me, do I still remember how she held me in her arms?
rock and roll dance organiser before O'Keefe in Australia, Alan Dale. Now we've got to sing because he just had his birthday yesterday, the day before. He's 103. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alan. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, there you go, mate. And he gets all embarrassed because he pushes everyone else's barrow but his own. When the rock and roll industry went through a real bad time after the few short years of its heyday. Everything only lasts a couple of years, right? And if you're not on top, as Lonnie said to me the other week on the phone, if you haven't got a record on top of the hit parade, you're not here. But, so nobody wanted to know. Alan pulled so many guys out of retirement to do the Johnny O'Keefe Memorial Show, which found a lot of work for all of our older stars at the time that weren't working, right? And even though he used to be fierce competition with O'Keefe for the dancers, which we've got time like we need to tell you about that, he's the best. He's been one of the guys that's plugged O'Keefe more than anybody else. And instead, you don't want to listen to me talking about all this. I'm going to let him explain very quickly to you about that, and then introduce our very special guest. And let's see, because this is not scripted, right? This is all straight off the top of the head. Now, we're not going to do a Jade, are we? We're not going to have Molly Bloody Hospital, are we?
No, I made the mistake yesterday of introducing Jade, and I said, Jade, you had a semi-hit, actually it was a big thing you really recorded, Down in the Riverina. Now, how did that happen? And an hour later, we still didn't know. And to this minute, we still don't know. That was Jade. He had a 2-hour, he gave everybody a 2-hour sermon. This is Lonnie Lee. No, we don't want to tell you. Don't want him in this morning. This is my good friend Lonnie Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a nice round of applause. We're very gracious. Thank you. Come on, coming along this morning because he worked last night at Seagulls and did a big show there. He was the top of the bill there last night and it was a wonderful night. But let's just paint a little bit of background really quickly and then we'll move right on to Lonnie because it's his morning. What happened was way back in the year 1956, in November of that year, onto our screens came Blackboard Jungle. And when I saw that movie, I'd previously been singing with the dance bands. And I thought, hello, this new music, this rock around the clock, I've got to get into this. So I formed a band that was exactly the same complement as Bill Haley and the Comets. And we rehearsed pretty badly there in the latter part of 1956. And in 1957, I opened a dance at the Maroubra Memorial Hall on the 6th of February in 1957. And I gave each of the guys in the band, I think they got 2 guineas each. That's how the door turned out, and that's what they got. I've still got it written down in the diary. And we went out and we bought some nice blue suits, because in those days, everyone in the rock and roll industry, as you saw from some of that old black and white footage, they were suits and ties, they were all well dressed, even up till the Beatles era, everybody dressed nicely. Shame on these days, they look as though they just walked off a garbage truck. But anyway, we did it right. But back then we started the dance scene, and then we had dances around all Sydney town halls mainly because, remember this, there was no Sunday trading as far as buying a drink or a packaged beer or anything. Pubs were shut, everything was shut on Sundays. So it was pretty hard to get places to work in. And I'd started off with these dances every night of the week around Sydney, and then O'Keefe started down at Stones Milk Bar at Coogee, and then Cole Joy, of course, he started out at the Capital War and out at East Hills. And then along came a new group, Lonnie Lee and the Lee Men. Now, you take it from there, Lonnie.
Oh, well.
Long story, 46 years ago.
Yes, long story.
Where did you win the talent quest?
That was, well, the first talent quest I went in was Alan to Examiner Hour, which you also did, and which Johnny O'Keefe did. This is before rock and roll, and I went on there as, you did an audition, you had to present 3 songs, and they chose a song. And there's a guy called Frank Scott, who was a piano player, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because there's no band, there's just a piano player. Anyway, so I presented, I liked Johnny Ray at the time, so I sang Cry, and I said, okay, what's another one? So I liked Nat King Cole, so I sang Autumn Leaves, and I said, yeah, okay, that's good, what's the other one? And so I sang Heartbreak Hotel, which had just been released. This is in '56 sometime, and it had just been released, and they said, well, we had a guy on a couple of weeks ago, that sang the Johnny Ray one, and the other one's a little bit slow. We've got a couple of people singing slow songs. So I do this one here, the guy with the funny name, which of course was Elvis. So I sang Heartbreak Hotel and came second to an opera singer. But on the night, he said, I'd like to send, this is Alan Tui, I'd like to send a cheerio call to a guy who won, and he's down in Wollongong with one of his first jobs, and all that, and it was Johnny O'Keefe, doing the Johnny Ray stuff, right? So anyway, that was my first introduction to anything. Then later on, that was in the middle of '56. Then in February '57, Elvis's first movie, Lovely Tender, was to come out, and it was still a bit, well, who's the guy with the funny name? So not too many people knew Elvis. Radio wasn't that good to him at the time. Well, he didn't have too many songs to play. And so they thought, well, what we'll do is this is MGM Movies, what we'll do is to try and up the ante, and so more people know Elvis and we'll go see Lovely Tender. We'll run a contest and see if we can find an Australian Elvis Presley, not to find one, but to get some press so that the papers will write about it. So anyway, I'm working at 2GB at the time, and I'm in as a clerk in 2GB, and my dream, as far as anything other than in the country, was to be a radio announcer. So in those days, you didn't start in Sydney, they started you in Dubbo or Burke or somewhere else like that. But I was waiting for a job to get out there. I was like 16, waiting for a job to go out there, and they said, well, you have to become a panel operator and learn all the business of scheduling and all that. So I was in the office there, and then February '57 came along, and two of the guys I was working with, they came by and they said to me, there's a contest on tomorrow night. And I said, oh yeah, and I was really nervous. I love to sing, I had the guitar, I had my guitar, and I love to sing and whatever. But they said, go in the contest. I said, oh, no, I hadn't thought of becoming a singer as such, I just like to sing. Took the guitar in and sang for the people in the office. Anyway, they dragged me down to the Trocadero and ended me in this thing. I was a bit nervous, so they took me around to the pub around the corner and plied me with grog. And by the time we got back, I thought, well, I hope it's too late, it's over. Because they said, we don't know whether we can get you on because a lot of people here want to go on and do it. So I was really hoping that they didn't have me. Anyway, right toward the end, they said, okay, you're ready, off you go. Pushed me out there, and you have to do 3 songs. So I did the 3 songs, and the audience went 8. I couldn't believe it. They went 8. So I ended up singing the whole 8 songs of Elvis that anybody knew at the time, so especially me. So I sang these 8 songs and became Australia's Elvis Presley. And the Sydney Sun wrote a big story, and at the time my mother was living at a place called Greenacre, which I think was called East Bankstown at the time. So and up there, Clark, East Bankstown, Clark, now Australia's Elvis Presley or something. And to my knowledge, that was the first really big article in a Sydney paper about rock and roll, but that wasn't because of me, it was because of the Elvis stuff. But that started the whole thing. You talk about the talent contest. Then after that, I started getting little jobs. I formed while you were doing your stuff, I remember hearing about you over around the Pagewood area and all around over there. And I hadn't heard about the Jacobsons yet, although a little bit later on I did. Then I started a little trio, rockabilly trio. While you had the band, the House Rockers, but it was like a Bill Haley type combination.
Bill Haley band.
Yeah, you had that going. I started just a little trio. So there's myself and a guy called Billy Moster on guitar, and we didn't have drums in those days. A guy called Kenny Hands. We made a bass out of a tea chest. Remember that? And oh, great sound. It's tremendous for rockabilly. So we had that. We did some shows around the place. They're doing that. Now, I filled in for you one time. You were on vacation at Mawson's at Newtown. And you went away and with your band, the House Rockers. So I filled in there one time.
Yeah.
This is before I was Lonnie Lee. I was Lonnie Lee.
And I also gave you the Tempe Hotel.
That's right,
Sorry to
yes,
say.
that's right. Yeah, the Tempe Hotel.
Whole class joint.
Well, there was nothing else happening. That was it. That was it. And I was there. And Billy, my guitar player, had to leave, so I was looking for another guitar player, and they were like rocking horse stuff, you know, at the time. It was really difficult to find. So I heard about a guy who was living in some bush area around Maroubra. I guess it's all housing now. And I went there and found him, and he was like 65 years of age. Billy Blinkhorn.
Billy Blinkhorn. Yeah, smiling Billy Blinkhorn. That's right. He did live out there.
Yeah. So anyway, so he joined my band. Well, the three of us again. So it was Billy Blinkhorn, who actually has got a history of his own. His big hit was "A Bird in a Gilded Cage." And he was Canadian, and he came out here originally to Australia with Bob Dyer. They were a duo, and they came out originally and did the Tivoli. Anyway, Bob Dyer, of course, became a big hit on radio.
And when square dancing started in Sydney, Billy Blinkhorn was the best square dancer.
Yes,
a lot of money back then.
absolutely, yeah. So he was really pretty much retired, you know, but he liked me a lot. I was only a kid, you know, and so we did that, and then I was working in the bank. And they pulled me in one time because all the girls in the camp, I used to wear the light blue coat and the pink shirt and the white tie and all this, and non-conformist, of course. So anyway, the bank manager pulled me in one time and he said, well, listen, son, it's, you got a big decision to make here. I said, yes, what is it? He said, you're going to be a singer or a bank manager? And I said, oh, God, you know, this is really tough. And I said, well, I guess I have to be a singer. He said, okay, you got 2 weeks. So during those 2 weeks, this is at the end of '57, during those 2 weeks, I had a car. So I used to go to, backwards and forwards, I had a 36 Dodge, and it was like a tank. And I was going to the bank on one of the last weeks I was there, and I somehow coming down this hill, and the bloody steering forgot that it was connected to the car. And so I'm screaming down there, and it's going like this, and I'm like, oh shit, what's going to happen? So I had the guitar in the back, and all I could think of was, oh, God, the guitar. And somehow I jumped, I can't remember why I did this, but I jumped into the back seat of the car, and we're screaming down the hill. The car hit a pole, broke the pole, the telegraph pole, and the whole engine came straight through into the back seat. It would have been squashed, you know. Anyway, so I just got out of the back seat with my guitar and walked down the street. It was really strange. Anyway, my father, who was in the country, heard about this and said, this is what Sydney's about, son. Huh? So he pulled me back to the country. So I spent the whole of '58 out of Sydney. And so a place called Rowena, which is in between Walgett and Boree. My grandfather started a sheep property there in about 1980 and built the property in 1910. And so I was back there. So I used to sing around the dance halls, well, the woolsheds and stuff there, and with a band. Now this will knock me out. I don't know whether any of you from the country, but there's a band that was really, really popular. They were the worst band in the world, but they were really, really popular only because I imagine there was no one else except them. And it was Frank Burke and his White Rose Orchestra.
White Rose Orchestra.
My God, there you go. He had a drum, a bass drum that was this tall. It was a Salvation Army one. You know, it was this tall. And then on the top, you had the one little drum there, a cymbal, which is the big brass thing you see, was only this big. Then he had skulls. All over the go. They were remember that?
Yes, I remember those skulls, or coconuts as they called them.
Yeah, and so anyway, he said he was really big. Now I'm telling you, this guy did all the balls all around the countryside, so he was really, really big out there. That's right, he had a violinist that was quite remarkable actually, because I've never, up to now, heard a violinist that could play off tune for so long. And so anyway, this
I know the tempo.
you know,
Yeah, it was all like a barn dance, right?
that's it.
All night, that's the
Oh yeah, but it wasn't even as good as that. It was out of tune even. But anyway, so that I was doing stuff there while things were happening, while Alan's empire down in Sydney was getting more and more clubs and more places. or hotels at the time that you were doing, and of course Jock was going on, and then Jock got himself into Festival Records and conned his way into getting a contract there. And it started, and then Cold Joy started. Actually, well, they weren't the Joys, it was the Jacobson Trio.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, it was Kevin
and Jacobson Trio.
Trio, yeah. And then later on, then they decided to cut well, the lady, what was her name? The lady with the mystic, you know, cosmic lady. Oh, she was a deal song.
On the tip,
Dorothy or something?
Yeah, from the cross.
Yeah.
She had black masses and all that stuff.
Anyway, she came up with the name for Cold Joy.
Rosalind
Came up with the name for Cold Joy. And then then I came back in '59 and started. I was still Laurie Ricks, so I started Laurie Ricks and the Beatniks.
Well, 6 o'clock rock would have been the thing.
Yeah, that was at the end of '59, and that was the thing that really kicked me off. And how I got there, I had a fan club. A couple of young ladies from around Peakhurst area started a fan club for me, and so I was playing at a few of the little gigs around the place once again with my little band and little trio. And then she said to me, "Well, we know Johnny O'Keefe, or we know of Johnny or something like this." And so the next thing I know, she said, "We've made an appointment for you to go and see him at his house." So I trot over there. Now I remember O'Keefe because I did not the Elvis Presley thing, but I went in another. Because of the Elvis Presley thing, I won a night at the Trocadero with the Frank Coughlin band, and O'Keefe was a compere there.
Built in 1931.
Yeah, that's right. Beautiful. Absolutely. And they ripped it down because of greed and left a hole in the ground. Yeah, bloody disgraceful. And anyway, so I met Jock prior to this, and had just set himself up. Actually, I won a prize that I never got, because the prize that I was to get was to perform on the Little Richard show, which was the first rock and roll show to come to Lee Gordon to bring out. And it turned out that long story I won't go into, but it turned out there was another girl that was on this thing from Perth. There was a girl Elvis sort of singer, and she got the job, and I didn't get the job because I guess I didn't wear a frock.
I
think that was it. Yeah, and she did that thing, and but it sort of went on. She said, "Well, what can I just say that would spread my name more." Then a guy called Alan Heffernan, beautiful man that lives just up here.
He's up on the wall next to iPhone.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, that's right. Good job. Yeah. Well, Alan lives up here. He's a very old gentleman now, and he was Lee Gordon's right-hand man. And he came and offered me. He said, "Would you like to? We're hearing just so much stuff about you. Would you like to record?" And I said, "Geez, of course I'd like to record." You know, I tried with Festival, and they rejected me with the band, not because they didn't like me, but they said we've got enough people. They had Joy at the time and Jock. Yeah, and so they said, "You know, we don't want any more." And so that was it. And then I went and I had my band, and we recorded an album called "This Is Lonnie Lee." That was my first thing. And then because that went well, he came to me and he said, "You want to do a single?" And so I picked out "Shame on You, Miss Johnson," which is the same guy who wrote "Do You Want to Dance?" That song. And so I really liked the song, so I decided to do that. So I turned up at the rehearsal above Woolworths in King's Cross, the ABC studios, you know that. And so we were there rehearsing and did the song, and then Jock came by. He wasn't there. He came by and he said, "Oh, yeah, what's it sound like? What's the song?" I said, "That sounds great to me, you know." So he listened to the song and said, "Yes, tremendous. Okay, what's the other one?" And of course, I still today, I don't know how this happened, but somehow I didn't turn up with 2 songs. You know, I was invited to do a record, a song, so I just took one song. And so yeah, I took one side. So he said, what else do you want to record? And I, for the life of me, my bloody brain went blank, and I couldn't think of anything at all to record. So he said, "Okay, well, if you feel like writing something?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Okay, so we sat down at the piano, 20 minutes, we ended up with Ain't It So. And then that was the song that actually started my whole career.
Lonnie, so wasn't your first appearance on 6 O'Clock Rock?
No.
But it was your first record release.
Yeah.
Ron, would you like to...
Well, you got it up there, haven't you?
Yeah, we got it.
Holy moly.
There it is. We'll feed it in. Because what you've got to realise here, folks, is although 6 O'Clock Rock ran from the 28th of February 1959 and ran for 2 years, there's only 1 hour and a quarter of footage of it left. And
Now it's got the bloody lot.
No, not only got that, but everything else. But you pull a dinosaur out of your head and off. That's Ernie Wilson. Now look at this. Here we go.
Oh, Jesus, look at the kid. Jesus, if I will get arrested or not.
There you go. You're up good looking.
You know, one of those guys, eh?
Spunk, as the girls say. What do you think of the girls in the petticoats?
The dancer, yeah.
What goes around?
And that was, you didn't mind that?
Yeah, didn't mind it either.
No, it's fine.
No.
Sang it live.
Yeah, because after that we seemed to get into that rock and miming situation.
Yeah, well, that was bandstand because they record it on the Tuesday or Wednesday, and then by the Saturday you'd have to try and remember how you sang it, so you could lip sing it properly, because that's how that started. But 6 O'Clock Rock was always live like that. Yeah, it was great fun.
Now I got to tell you, this 6 O'Clock Rock ran for 2 years, and I used to conduct a popularity poll all the time. People would write in and vote for their favourite person. And there were so many people appeared on it and made their careers out of 6 O'Clock Rock, there's no doubt about that. But this fellow